Game time is valuable, not just in the abstract, your time is valuable sense, but in dollars and cents. More and more games are releasing to take part in an industry now worth over $100 billion. This means more free-to-play games, more daily quests, gacha mechanics, more loot boxes, more game mechanics in general meant to pull both time and money from players. This isn't meant to bash that side of the industry though. I think there are ways to monetize games past the initial purchase that are ethical and good for the players as well as the companies that make the games. However, I'm realizing that in the modern gaming era, I have to put concerted effort towards putting down the free-to-play and picking up longer games with serious stories. Right now, it's easy for me to focus my attention on one small segment of the gaming market, Nintendo Switch RPGs. I've always loved RPGs, and now I get particularly excited at the idea that I can take a deep, story-driven game on the road with me. I know I'm not alone in this regard. The Switch is the new hotness, as Will Smith might call it, and there isn't currently a gigantic library of dense RPGs on the system. But there are plenty of free-to-play siren songs on the Switch too. Titles like Pokémon Quest are Nintendo's attempt at more conventional mobile fare, as well as free-to-play heavy hitters like Epic's current money-printing machine, Fortnite, and the upcoming release of Space Ninja Epic Warframe. No space is sacred. So, with so many different games and platforms fighting for our time and money, how do we decide where to spend them? I think it comes down to honing in on what really matters to us personally in our gaming. I play some games just for the chance to hang out with friends, like Heroes of the Storm or Destiny. But other times, I want to game to better myself, to broaden my viewpoints, or at least to maximize the enjoyment I get from the time I'm spending. For me, when I single-player game, I want to dial into what really excites me about games, and that might not be the same as what works for everyone else. Take a couple RPGs that debuted for the Switch a bit ago within days of each other, Octopath Traveler and Hand of Fate 2. Both of these games are unique in their own rights. Octopath Traveler lets you choose from one of 8 different main storyline characters and experience the world through their eyes. As the game continues, you'll meet the other 7 characters as well, allowing you to customize your party and take on new quests. In contrast, Hand of Fate 2 casts you as an essentially solitary traveler trying to find the lost components of your memories, playing a game of fate with a mysterious dealer that's part Dungeons & Dragons, part tarot, part Batman Arkham Asylum when you're in combat. I find that both of these games have parts that I really enjoy, and they also have parts that I don't. Octopath Traveler lets you play 3 hours of the game in its demo, and this is where I got my feet wet. Octopath has an exceptionally engaging turn-based combat system that revolves around a mechanic it calls Boost. Each turn you gain a point of boost energy, and you can use up to 3 of them on a turn to augment attacks and boost player skills. It sounds simple, but the execution is really fun. When you add in the game's graphics, a fusion of 2D and 3D art styles reminiscent of Camelot's classic RPG Golden Sun, combat is really compelling in Octopath Traveler. It's just a shame that the story, at least initially, isn't. Of the couple main characters I encountered in the 3 hours of the game, both of them had fairly trope-laden storylines. Primrose is a princess who abandons her royal post to search for her father's murderers, ending up exploited at what is basically a strip club/brothel in hopes of one day obtaining a clue while at the establishment. She's threatened with sexual violence by the club owner, her friend is murdered in the course of trying to protect her, and she finally decides to lash back out at the owner to find freedom afterwards. All of this in the first 90 minutes. It's predictable, and it perpetuates poor trends about how to create female narratives, especially ones involving sex work. The start of Ulbricht's story feels similarly unexciting. A man exiles himself from his kingdom after he's unable to protect his king from murder, then tries to hunt down the killer, who also happens to be his own former best friend/brother-in-arms. Given, this doesn't mean that the game is bad, and it's possible the story could improve later, but the hours I spent in-game weren't satisfying to me. In contrast, Hand of Fate 2 has really strong storytelling. As you explore the tableaus to satisfy objectives, the dealer asks you questions that are not just about the game, but also about life as a whole. It's easy to fall into introspective moments when he asks you to contemplate your motivations for saving others, or whether you feel that the people giving you your quests are actually honorable. Satisfying certain mission conditions will give you tokens and unlock new cards that expand the game's story. Unfortunately, though, the combat gets repetitive over time. Sure, there are new companion characters, in-depth weapon traits, and now even group combat to keep you on your toes. But even with all these new systems, fights boil down to attack, 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 parry, attack, 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 with a dodge every now and again for unbreakable attacks. And every time a combat loading screen feels just a touch too long, I think about checking in on my phone to start up another game. I would love to be able to merge the storytelling and writing of Hand of Fate 2 with the engaging, flashy, intricate combat of Octopath Traveler, but I can't. And diving into either of those games admittedly takes more brain power for me than running through my mobile time sucks. So I have to ask myself, what makes my time valuable? When I frame the decision with time as the ultimate limited quantity, it becomes a little easier to make these judgment calls. Sometimes in the process of just trying to keep up with life, I forget about these personal preferences. When I get stressed, I'll use games as an opportunity to escape or cool down. And I'll play titles that keep me occupied, but don't really fulfill me in the long run. If I'm spending all my time with mobile card games and multiplayer shooters, it's like eating my dessert before dinner. Without a steady diet of character progression and world building, it makes it hard for me to be the kind of critic that I want to be. And that's where my preferences lie as a gamer. This isn't about judging games with no story. It's about paying attention to how and why we game personally. Is it to spend time with friends? Increase competitive skills and coordinate with a team? Build new worlds and digital art? Just de-stress from a long day? These are all great reasons to game, and there are great games to satisfy all of these needs. But if we don't pay attention to what we want out of our gaming, then it's easy for that time to get hijacked, for us to spend hours we didn't even process on games that take our time and maybe even our money, but don't fulfill us. For me, though I'm working through Hand of Fate 2, I can't guarantee I won't want to revisit the combat and world of Octopath Traveler one day. But right now, I'm spending more time diving into stories that I know I care about, exploring the relationship between father and son in God of War, or the feeling of fighting forces far larger than me and outside of my control in Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. There's also this thing called reading books that I'm enjoying, and I can't help but recommend that too. For us to get the most out of the time and money we spend in this medium, we have to really focus in on what satisfies us in the long run. I'll still spend time playing my personal dessert games, but I'm trying to make sure I carve out space for my dinner first. Thanks for checking out another Intelligame video essay. Again, special thanks for the team that helped make this possible: Adam Garner, Gautam Shrikishan, and Jenny Wyndham. You can find links to some of their content down in the description. If you enjoy the commentary here, you should check out Intelligame Radio, a show that combines short discussions about games and the world with interviews, game recommendations, and more. You can search for Intelligame Radio pretty much wherever you get your podcasts, and you can even call into the show if you download the Anchor podcast app. Also, don't forget you can help keep all of this going by becoming a patron on Patreon. Your donations help keep this ship afloat. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.